The different kind of power is kindness.
Absolutely. It's all those things that you think are weaknesses or are taught are weaknesses. Empathy.
Welcome, amazing viewers, to my channel, your beacon for truth in a world of spin. Today, we're peeling back the curtain on a global icon whose smile hides a darker story. Jacinda Ardern, New Zealand's former Prime Minister, has charmed the world with tales of kindness and empathy, most recently in an Oprah Winfrey interview touting her book, A Different Kind of Power. But behind the glossy magazine covers and celebrity endorsements lies a legacy of division, control, and betrayal. From COVID lockdowns to vaccine mandates, was Ardern's kindness a revolution or a ruse? Subscribe, hit that bell, and join me as we expose a tale of power, lies, and a nation torn apart. Jacinda Ardern rose to global fame as New Zealand's youthful, empathetic Prime Minister, elected in 2017 at age 37. Her 2018 pregnancy in office and compassionate response to the Christchurch mosque attacks in 2019 earned her praise as a new kind of leader. In her 2025 Oprah interview, promoting a different kind of power, Ardern doubled down on this image, claiming kindness, empathy, and humility defined her administration. "These are strengths, not weaknesses," she told Oprah, who hailed her as a heroine for prioritizing humanity in politics. The narrative captivated audiences. A young woman, a new mother, leading with heart in a cynical world. The Guardian splashed her on its cover, lauding her different kind of power. But for many New Zealanders, this was no fairy tale. It was a carefully crafted myth. Beneath the rhetoric of compassion lay policies that fractured society. And Ardern's kindness, they argue, was anything but. When COVID-19 hit in 2020, Ardern's leadership was thrust into the global spotlight. Her early border closures and strict lockdowns earned applause for keeping cases low, but the cost was steep. New Zealand became a fortress, with citizens stranded abroad and families separated for years. Ardern's kindness manifested in a draconian system, mandatory quarantine in state-run MIQ, managed isolation and quarantine facilities, which the UN later criticized as unfit for housing even political prisoners. The human toll was devastating. One New Zealander, locked in MIQ, couldn't attend their mother's funeral just miles away, a trauma that shattered their life. Others faced indefinite detention, unable to return home due to limited MIQ slots. Ardern's government framed these measures as protective, but critics saw cruelty cloaked in care. Her daily briefings, delivered with a nod and smile, began to feel performative as stories of suffering mounted. Ardern's vaccine mandates, rolled out in 2021, deepened the divide. She openly endorsed a two-tier society, joking in interviews that unvaccinated citizens would be excluded from public life. Teachers, nurses, pharmacists, and even firefighters lost jobs for refusing the vaccine, their livelihoods destroyed by government decree. A pharmacist serving a deprived community for 20 years was fired, his career ended by Ardern's mandate. Veterans and police officers were similarly cast out, branded pariahs in their own country. This wasn't kindness, it was coercion. Ardern's policies didn't just marginalize dissenters, they tore families and communities apart. On X, New Zealanders shared stories of loved ones barred from hospitals or funerals, their pain dismissed as collateral damage for the greater good. The public's trust in institutions eroded, and Ardern's empathy began to ring hollow. For some, Ardern's policies were deeply personal. One critic, a dual British-New Zealand citizen, was barred from returning to their birthplace for 3 years, cut off from family and friends. Their best friend, trapped in MIQ, missed their mother's death, a wound that never healed. These stories aren't outliers. They're emblematic of a regime that prioritized control over compassion. Ardern's kindness locked citizens in facilities while relatives died nearby, a policy the UN deemed inhumane. This betrayal fueled outrage. X-Post called Ardern a tyrant in a cardigan, accusing her of weaponizing empathy to justify authoritarianism. Her defenders argued she saved lives, but critics countered that she sacrificed liberty and livelihoods, leaving New Zealand poorer and more divided than ever. By 2023, Ardern's popularity had plummeted. Facing a likely landslide defeat, she resigned, citing a desire to focus on her young daughter. But skeptics saw a strategic exit to avoid electoral humiliation. Her successor, a right-wing populist government, inherited a nation grappling with economic stagnation and social fractures. Ardern's promises to eradicate poverty backfired, with child poverty rising and living costs soaring. New Zealand, once a beacon of unity, emerged from her tenure as an impoverished society, both morally and economically. Her post-political career has leaned into the kindness myth. Her Oprah interview and book tour paint her as a global advocate for empathy, but critics like the Daily Telegraph's Timothy Stanley gave her memoir 1 star, slamming its virtue signaling and lack of accountability. On X, users mock her as a globalist drone, accusing her of dodging responsibility for her policies' fallout. Ardern's red carpet treatment by outlets like The Guardian and Oprah reveals a broader issue: media's obsession with identity, politics. As a young, attractive female leader, Ardern was lionized without scrutiny. Oprah's fawning interview, ignoring her record's dark side, exemplifies this. Critics argue mainstream media amplifies figures like Ardern fit a progressive mold, glossing over their flaws to sell a narrative of empowerment. This lack of rigor has fueled distrust. On X, commentators like Connor Tomlinson of Tomlinson Talks called Ardern's interview grotesque, accusing her of cloaking tyranny and compassion. The public, tired of sanitized stories, is turning to alternative voices for unfiltered perspectives, as seen in the video's passionate critique. Ardern's legacy challenges our assumptions about power. History warns of tyrants in uniforms, but Ardern represents a new archetype, the devouring mother, as Tomlinson puts it, who smothers dissent with smiles and empathy. Her policies, from MIQ to mandates, weren't born of malice, but of a paternalism that crushed freedom under the guise of care. Her nod and smile delivery masked a vindictive edge, punishing those who dared defy her vision of equality. As she tours the world preaching kindness, New Zealanders pick up the pieces. Her book may sell, but her credibility wanes. The public, once enchanted, now sees through the charade. Ardern's story is a cautionary tale. Beware leaders who wield empathy as a weapon, for their compassion may conceal control. Jacinda Ardern's kindness was a myth, a glittering facade that hid a legacy of division and despair. From Oprah's stage to New Zealand's streets, her story is one of power misused, trust betrayed, and a nation left to heal. As she spins her tale of empathy, the world must